I've had multiple comments today of people that are concerned about all these downgrades. And I thought, gee whiz, since we've had so many comments and questions about that, maybe I should do a special video. One came from Yusel Fave. Anyway, Favel, I think that's it. Yusel Favel, JL at YUSSELFAVELJL. He wondered if there was a conspiracy going on, and some people do believe that, and it could be. There could be a conspiracy. But I thought I'd give my 2 cents worth about what is going on with all the downgrades, and that means I've moved the Brian White video about what's going on with the factories. I've moved that until later this afternoon. So it's, of course, 1 o'clock in California right now. The markets have just closed. I'll probably put out the video with Brian White. I'll probably put that out around 4 o'clock California time later this afternoon. So hit subscribe and notify if you want to be sure to see the Brian White video. Hit like, of course, you know the drill. Mostly Patreon. I was getting 1 or 2 Patreon signups a day, and all of a sudden it stopped. So I need more Patreon folks coming on board. Hey, you're going to love being on that Patreon because if you like spreadsheets, and if you like to be able to take a look at how I got where I got, and you like to see videos coming a little sooner than the rest of the crowd, those are some good reasons to be up on Patreon or just to support the channel. Okay, let's dive into this entire situation here. All right. Let's start here. Some think, and I might be part of this group, and I might agree with this to some extent. Some think that these downgrades are part of a game to help the companies making the downgrade estimates allow some good entry points for their investing partners or clients. So if you can drive the stock down by creating these ridiculous downgrades, and these stupid price targets, and especially in a week when you've got a whole bunch of window dressing by the end of the week this week, maybe this is a good week to do that, and then your clients can jump in on Tesla and get bargain basement prices. And so one other commenter on that particular YouTube video said, yeah, I'm doing it. I'm getting in. I'm getting in now while the getting's good, because that is exactly, if that's the strategy, it's a good strategy because Tesla is going well up from these numbers. All-time highs by the end of the year are into 2024, 400 plus. So, if you can go from 235, 240, let's say, I closed at 241 today, get it at 241, boy, that is a deal of a century. But what about this idea of the conspiracy theory, in order to help out the client base? It may seem like a good idea on the surface, but if you do that often enough, pretty soon you're going to lose your credibility with regard to, you're not going to be invited on CNBC. Oh, wait, Gordon Johnson. Yeah, well, maybe if the less credible and the worse you are at estimating things, the more often you get invited on CNBC. I'm not sure how that works. Okay, all right. So do I think that it's a conspiracy? I think that there's reason to believe that it's possible, but I don't necessarily have any evidence to prove that it's any kind of conspiracy. Some think that these increases in price targets are the lazy conservative analyst playing catch up on the stock. Somebody with three first names says, he always talks about how these are lazy analysts who don't go to the trouble to figure out anything on their own, and they're just trying to get ahead of the market, get behind the market, go along with the market, agree with everybody else. Anyway, right now, there's an awful lot of alignment among these Tesla followers, these individuals who are supposed to be the best at taking a look at Tesla. They're all between $230 a share and $260 a share. It's a pretty narrow range. And they've all come out this week. And I don't know. That seems a little odd to me that they're all bunched around this particular theme that, the prices are still an issue. Prices are going to go down. Tesla's not going to make their numbers. They're only going to do they're only going to do $5 a share in 2024. That's what's implied. And everybody's in agreement. So that's a little weird. All right. Don't know what that means. Of course, now there are, when you put out a price target that is lower than the current price. So the price last week was 275 at the top. And these guys were coming out with price targets of 260, 250, 240, 230, right in that range. Well, if you come up with a price target that is lower than the current price of the market, then you have to, theoretically, you either have to put in a hold or put in a sell rating. So that would be the downgrade. If you had a buy rating and now you put in a sell rating or a hold rating, that's a downgrade, and that's the headline. Even though they raised the price target in every single instance, they raised the price target, but then they put it into a downgrade in terms of whether you should hold, buy, or sell. One of them, however, I think the lowest one at 230 also continued to have a buy rating. Well, he may have been the one that was the most had the best crystal ball, because of course the price dropped 15 today down to 241. So anyway, maybe it will go to 230. I'll talk about that. Well, let me talk about that now. I don't think I said this morning, if you watched the show this morning, if you didn't watch the show this morning, go watch the show, because I think there's a lot of good stuff in there that is still absolutely on point with regard to this week. And what I said this morning was, number one, this is going to be a great time to buy. You are going to get one last shot at 250 or less. When I say one last shot, that doesn't mean today only. Today, tomorrow, the price is going to be around this 250 area for the next few days, probably. It can bounce and could bounce hard. So be aware of that. It could hit, I think it could easily tomorrow go to 237, 235, and that's it. One analyst thinks it might go as low as 232. I don't think it's going to break below that price level. And then, Katie bar the door if in fact the numbers are better than expected on Sunday. That's what I said this morning. I also said that it would be following the NASDAQ. Now, in this case, the NASDAQ was down. Even though the Dow was up, the NASDAQ was down, and the stock kind of followed the NASDAQ as the NASDAQ went up and down during the day. So, it pretty much did exactly what I said it would do, and I think it will continue to follow the NASDAQ at least through Wednesday. Thursday and Friday, there's a lot going on. So you got Friday, you've got the PCE coming out. That's going to be huge. On Friday, by Friday, everybody's got to do their window dressing. All the big institutional buyers have to do their window dressing so that they can look good, like they're holding the right stocks as they ended the second quarter. And then you also have Tesla's numbers coming on Sunday. So that's three things that are all going to be affecting the stock. And I'm saying starting Thursday, Tesla will probably be disconnected from the rest of the market in that regard. Okay, so with this $5 price target, there was people saying that they think that Tesla's only going to make $5 in 2024. Understand that in order for Tesla to only make $5 in 2024, they would have to make no more than the 2 million cars that I'm estimating, that I think is more than 2 million this year. They would have to sell 2 million cars in 2024, even though they would continue to ramp the Y, continue to ramp the Cybertruck, and potentially be ramping the Model 3 with the Highland refresh, which might create additional sales. So they would go from 2 million or a little less in 2023 to 2 million period in 2024. And they would have to keep their average margins that are around that 20% level. If they go to 22 or 23, they would also have to sell no more energy. So they would just have to keep the energy storage sales about where they are right now, even though they're going to be having to double the capacity in Lathrop and adding new capacity, another doubling of that capacity in the Shanghai facility. So all of those things would have to happen, in addition to no other surprises or no other news, like an Optimus thing or a full self-driving thing or anything like that, in order to only do $5 in 2024. So that's $5 at 50 PE would give you your 250 price target. Makes no sense to me. I've got my estimated number, lowest possible is probably $8 to $9 for next year. Give that a 50 multiple and you're at 400. So there you go. That's how I come to my number. All right. So I'm expecting 9, as I already said that. So Gary Black tweets this: there are two types of Wall Street downgrades. One, downgrades on fundamentals. Two, downgrades on price. The first type I pay attention to. If it's a downgrade on the fundamentals and they show you the numbers, so that's not what he said. He says changes in category volume trend, losses in market share, pricing pressures, margin erosion, inventory increases, changes in flexible and financial flexibility. Those could change his valuation estimate. Of course, he's at 310 or 320. The second type, which is a downgrade on price, the second type I usually ignore as noise. Most downgrades on price have a shelf life of about half a day. They don't change my valuation estimates at all. All three Tesla downgrades this week have been based on price. The market tends to ignore them without a change in the fundamentals. Well, I don't think that they ignored them. I do think that was part of an overall problem. So you had the NASDAQ down, you had the Russian thing creating a little bit of negative noise out there, but overall, the market needs a breather. They're worried about what's going to happen with the numbers on Friday, with the PCE coming out. There's no news other than that to kind of drive the market higher. So all in all, I'm not shocked that there's a breather, and I'm not shocked that Tesla is taking, there's people taking profits on Tesla right now. So I don't put much credibility in any of these analyst projections unless they show their work. And sometimes they do in detail. Like Gary just said, what are the expected numbers for each division? Okay, tell me those. I'm paying attention. I want to see what you're saying. I may not agree with you. Why do you think Q2 results will be so low? Show me the numbers. I might not agree with you, but I'll pay more attention. Tell me why you think next year is going to be only 2 million vehicles sold. What in the world is that about? So what are your underlying assumptions about the factory capacity, about utilization, and about how various markets are or are not able to absorb the production that Tesla is going to be capable of next year? You give me that kind of information, I might be persuaded, but nothing about what has happened in these few days has persuaded me at all. So yes, I also think that the technicals are definitely a part of the game right now. Almost all the technical players that I looked up and tried to see what everybody was saying, I looked about a couple more since this morning, all of them thinks that the 250 was one price point that it had to stay above, and the 235 roughly was the other one. There's another one at 217, 218. That on the way up, I talked about the 217, 218, and we did have some resistance there. Some people think it could go back down to 180. I do not. I don't think it's going to go back to 217, 218. I do think we could test 235 tomorrow. So there you go. That's my theory right now. Anyway, the market today was in a sour mood. It might be Russia. I don't think so. I think that's nonsense. I think everybody's looking at the PCE and second quarter window dressing. And then for those who follow Tesla, they're looking at the numbers this weekend. And Tesla is a bargain right now. I'm not an investment advisor. This is not investment advice, but I do encourage you to hit notify if you want to see Brian White's. Now, if you didn't already see it, I'm going to put a card. I don't know. It's this side. Somewhere there's going to be a card that's going to suggest, if you haven't already seen it, to go back and see what Brian White had to say about the Model 3 refresh. It was the most important video that I did over the weekend. You really need to go back if you didn't check it out. You might want to buy one of my books, The Elon Musk Mission. You know what that's about. That's about all the companies, and the stuff is still totally relevant. And we go into all the companies, and I had 3 other experts on the book in terms of writing the categories that they were expert on. It's still a phenomenal read. Every review that's coming out right now is giving good ratings. The Elon Musk Method, When Friday Isn't Payday. When Friday Isn't Payday was a book I wrote in 1993. Inc. magazine said it was the best small business book that was on the market that year. They did a front page article about all the best business books out that year, and mine was on the top of the picture that they showed that year. I have updated it as recently as a couple of years ago, so it's current. It shows you everything from when you are thinking about starting a business and what you might want to be thinking about as you contemplate starting a business, to how do you prepare for a grant? How do you decide what kind of a business? how do you create a business plan, then how do you set up your grand opening, what to do after the grand opening, what the first week is like, what the first year is like. Now, I've started about 40 plus businesses, including this YouTube channel just 7 months ago. You can see that the YouTube channel is pretty successful with 13,000 subscribers right now. And I just hit 2 million views. And I've just hit my first target in terms of what it needed to make in terms of advertising revenue in order for me to consider it successful. So I've just passed that after just 7 months of starting it. So I know something about starting a business. You can check that one out. The Elon Musk method talks about 16 things that Elon Musk does amazingly well that you can take from that and use it for your own small business, or if you're a manager, use it as a manager. And then Making Money Out of Thin Air, that was a book I wrote with my CPA. She's an amazing CPA, and you should potentially look her up. Ask me in the information, or ask me in the comments below if you want me to put her phone number out there again. Anyway, we wrote this book together that helps small businesses to prepare their financials better. Now, that could be using a CPA, or maybe you could learn enough from this to know how to prepare them better, what data you need in order to create great financials for your specific kind of company. And then once you have those financials and you get the reports, most small business owners, I know, I've had over 400 clients in my consultancy over the last 16 years, and I know that most small business owners do not know how to read their P&L. They don't know how to take advantage of the numbers that are in there in order to grow their business. So that's what making money out of thin air means. It means you can you don't have to buy any more buildings. You don't have to rent any more buildings. You don't have to buy any more equipment. You don't have to hire any more people. All you need to do is take a look at your financials, and they will speak to you and help you to make more money with your existing setup. Anyway, that's it. That's the end of my commercial for those books. This is Randy Kirk. It's been great talking to you.